So now we're going to revisit color correction because we're now going to build up on the knowledge that we already have with regards to this part of Premiere Pro. I would normally delete this, but I like it too much, so I'm just going to move that over there because it's really pretty. So I'm going to mute these channels just so we're not playing back any audio. Let's have a look at all these clips, and yeah, none of those have been color corrected. We do know one that has been color corrected, don't we? And that is this clip, because we color corrected that in the color correction section. So if we I'm just going to duplicate this clip. I'm going to come back to here and let's go to color, and let's get rid of that keyframing and reset it back to here. So that's color we like. And now what you need to do is you need to make a note of what you've put in and the changes that you've made. And these I'm only joking, you don't need to do that at all. This is now set with a color correction that we're happy with. So what we want to do is we want to copy all the settings on this clip to the other clips. Easy, isn't it? Well, if you remember, there was another shortcut that I had you do right at the beginning, and that was for P, and it was for the shortcut paste attributes. So that's what we're going to do. Now, bearing in mind that we color corrected this clip at this somewhere along here, but you know, we color corrected it for this. However, that's probably going to be similar colors, but in other clips it may be slightly different. Now, there's no way to automate that, but we can have a better starting position than we are at the moment with this set of attributes that we have here. And the way in which we do that is we select the clip that we've color corrected and we're happy with, and we copy it. So Control and C. So that's now copied. If I just went somewhere else and Control and V, that's going to paste that whole clip. That's not what we want to do. Let's say we want to affect this clip, and just for now I'm just going to hide the adjustment layer, and I'm going to lock it just so we're not affecting it. And I want to get the colors off this clip and put it on this clip. Well, I've copied that clip, so I can right click this new clip and go to paste attributes, or as we've set with our keyboard shortcuts, just hit the letter P on your keyboard. Now this brings up a few options, and sometimes motion will be selected and other elements depending on what things you've got in the effects controls and what changes you've made to that clip. You'll have more options in here as to what attributes you want to paste. Now obviously we don't want to paste the motion because we're happy with this motion. Sometimes no motion has been done and no motion is needed in the new clip, and it doesn't really matter. But because we've actually added motion to this clip, as you can see with our keyframes, remember we had a little, let me just cancel that out, and we have a little movement, don't we, from left to right? Remember that? Well, we don't want to affect that. We don't want to overwrite that with the motion from this clip, which if we had motion checked when we're pasting attributes, it would overwrite that. So let's highlight that clip and press P again because it's still in our clipboard, and you can see that we have an option for Lumetri color. Now if you had what else have we done? We've put a drop shadow on things, and we've also added a crop. Anything that would come down here, that would also be listed in effects, because to get a drop shadow and to get a crop, you go to the effects panel, remember? So you would have the option to be able to put those in. But because we only have a color correction on the other clip, that's the only thing that's available. So let's do that. Hit OK. Keep an eye on this. That's our color correction added. Let me undo, Control Z, and redo, Control Shift Z. That's our color correction added. So we haven't had to make a note of all of these things. When I first started color correcting, I didn't know about paste attributes, and that's literally what I had to do. and it was the biggest time waster in the world. It was awful. So that's worked for that clip. Brilliant. Now let's undo that, Control Z, and let's add it to all of the clips. Easiest way to do that is draw or trace a marquee all the way around all of the clips in there. Press P and hit OK with Lumetri color selected. That's obviously done that clip, but it's also done all of the other clips. How do I know? Well, we can now click into each individual clip and you now have Lumetri color in the effects controls. So just to confirm, that was before and that's after. You see the difference? If you think back to when you first started playing with this footage, that looked more than acceptable. Fine. But now looking at it with what we can do with the colors, it's washed out. So let's play it through. You've got more, I mean, that with the fire, you can see just how much that slight color correction does. And in effect, all we've done in this, if we twirl these down, because remember you can access it from this point, is we've added a bit of contrast. We've added a corrective LUT. We've added a bit of contrast and we've crushed the shadows a little bit. And the effect is just, it's, once again, I feel it's night and day. Brilliant. Now let's see, because this scene is lit very similar to the first and very similar to this. But it'll be interesting as to how that color correction will affect when we're inside the pizza oven and we're quite dark. Let's have a look. I don't know about you, but I think that's more than acceptable. Let's toggle that off just to see. Oh, it just makes it richer, doesn't it? Don't be worried about this black bar. Remember, we have this letterbox that we've animated in. I'm just going to check through this and see how that all is. Liking that. Have you seen how the fire pops that little bit more? It just brings out the oranges and the reds in the fire and in this reflection down here. And even the green pops even more on the lawn. Those colours are just so much more, aren't they now? That's a little bit dark. Maybe that is. Okay. Let's correct that, because it is a slightly differently lit scene, but we only want to make a couple of little adjustments. So let's play that into there, and that is a little bit dark. Now we could go to the color tab or color workspace and go down the Lumetri color tab, but if it's only just a little bit, what we could do is we could come down here, maybe bring up the shadows a little bit. Yeah, that helps. Maybe take up the exposure ever so slightly. We don't want to do too much because we don't want it to stand out like a sore thumb against the other footage, but I think maybe we need to add a bit of saturation there, because I think that's what it might be lacking in a bit. Add some of that saturation. It's because that clip is so rich with the reds and the oranges. But you see, what we're doing is we're affecting the color correction that's been added, so we've got a better starting position. I'm going to try and add what I've done to this to this. So how do we do that? Well, we copy that and we then just paste attribute. No, we don't. If we pasted attributes right now, we would add another instance of Lumetri color. Let me do it and show you. Keep an eye on the image, obviously, but also keep an eye here. If we paste attributes and just have Lumetri color selected, we've gone over the top everywhere and we've got a second Lumetri color. Once again, when I first started, this was something that I just couldn't get my head around, and it really confused a lot of things, because I'd color correct and then I'd make changes to a clip and think, right, yeah, that's the one that I want. So then I'd select that, copy it, and then select all the clips and then paste. And I was adding 3 and 4 different instances of Lumetri color. And I was just chasing my tail. So let's undo that. Control Z. We've copied the attributes from here. We go into this clip that we want to change. We select Lumetri color and we delete that from the effects control. of this clip. And as you can see, that's gone back to the beginning. Now we paste. So we select and we paste and hit OK. And now we're at a more acceptable level of color correction. If we play them into each other, yeah, that works. And that works. That doesn't need to be changed, I don't think. Maybe this does. No, I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with that. And then we're towards the last few clips, which we know are exactly how we want. Oh, this looks a little bit dark now, doesn't it? Do you think it looks a little bit dark in comparison? Yeah, it does. So let's lighten that. So with that clip selected, again, into the Lumetri part in the effects controls, and let's just boost that exposure ever so slightly. Not too much. Wow. Doesn't take much at all, does it? So I've taken it to 1.4, whereas Control Z, it was at 0. So Control Shift Z to redo at 1.4. And maybe, just maybe, let's take those shadows down a little bit. And I want to do this quite accurately. So I'm going to twirl down shadows, and once again we have a slider which we can bring that down. If I brought it down too much, it's going to, yeah, say about there. Let's run them into each other. Good. I like that so far. Really nice. Control S so we don't lose that. So that's being able to add one color correction onto all of the clips without having to do them all individually. There is another way to do it, and although I like this way because you can tweak and do what you need to do, I'm going to show you another way to be able to do that and to start that base color correction.